Hey, this is Paul for your friendly review of the Nintendo Switch. So before we begin, please check out the description below for any updates or any links that I talk about in the video and where to find one for yourself. And also subscribe if you want to watch more videos just like this one. Now let's get into it. The Nintendo Switch just came out in early 2017. There are different color options. This is the neon version. It comes in simple packaging. As you unpack the box, you'll notice that it's full with many pieces of hardware. We're going to walk through each piece in great detail. The main piece of hardware is the console. It has a 6.2-inch multi-touch display with a resolution of 1280 by 720. It is the same size as the Wii U gamepad display, but the resolution has improved over the previous 854 by 480. On the bottom front of the screen, there's a sensor for brightness in the middle and speakers on both sides. Along the top, there's a power button, volume controls, an audio jack, and a game card slot under a plastic cover. The Nintendo Switch has switched back to cartridges for games in addition to downloading games online. The cartridges are nice, like the original Nintendo. When you plug them in, you can nearly play the game instantaneously, versus the CDs and DVDs where you have to wait for them to gather the data and it takes a while for them to load. The game cartridge slot is spring-loaded. You push the game into place until you feel it click and it stays there. To remove it, you press it down again and it will pop back out. Since the games are small and a potential choking hazard, I heard that they made them taste bad. So I had to give it a try. And yes, they do taste very bad. The sides are rails for the Joy-Con controllers. The rails hold the controllers very firmly, making it feel like one solid piece when they're in place. Always remember to press the button on the back when trying to remove the Joy-Con controllers from any of the rails. On the back is a kickstand that you can use to prop up the display. Hiding under the kickstand is a microSD card slot. You can use this to add to the internal 32 gigabytes of memory that it already has in the system. At the bottom is a USB-C port, which is used to dock the console. Using the dock, you can charge the internal lithium-ion battery. It takes about 3 hours to charge and lasts anywhere between about 3 to 6 hours based on which games you are playing. The dock is only slightly larger in height and width than the console, but it is deeper. There's a slot inside the dock that keeps the console from docking when it's facing the wrong direction. When placed properly, it actually slides in very nicely, and I was pretty pleased with this. On the side of the dock, there are two USB 2 ports. On the back, there's a hidden panel that pops open for the power, an additional USB 2 port, and an HDMI port. The HDMI port is capable of providing 1080p, but not 4K. There's a slot that allows the cables to cleanly come out the side of the dock. The system comes with a 5-foot HDMI cable and a power adapter with a 5-foot cable as well. The power adapter outputs both 5 volts at 1.5 amps and 15 volts at 2.6 amps. The right and left Joy-Con controllers are very small and light, but packed with features. On the front, each of them have a joystick, 4 main buttons, a plus or minus button, a capture or home button. The capture button takes a picture and the home button sends you home to the menu. On the top, there's a button and a trigger on both units. Along the strap portion, there's a sync button and left and right buttons on each controller as well. There are optional strap components that you can attach to each of the Joy-Con controllers that provide nicer feeling buttons, as well as a strap to connect to your wrist. When attaching the strap, make sure to slide the correct piece on the correct controllers in the correct orientation by matching up the plus and minus symbols. There's a little lock piece on each of them. You press the lock in to keep the spring-loaded buttons held in place to secure the strap. This is useful if you're playing an active game and you don't want the controller to slip away if it's attached to your wrist. There are 4 little windows that allow you to see the status of the green LEDs from the Joy-Con controllers when the strap component is installed. Make sure to unlock them by pulling on the lock prior to trying to remove the straps. When removing anything off the rails of the Joy-Con controllers, make sure to hit the button on the back of the Joy-Con controllers to release the rails. With the amount of swapping that will take place with these units, it'll be very interesting to see how they hold up with little kids, because I'm not convinced that they're going to be pushing those buttons every time, so we'll have to see how they hold up over time. On the inside, each has Bluetooth for communications, an accelerometer, a gyro, and high-definition rumble. The battery life is approximately 20 hours, depending on how you are using them. They will only charge when they're connected to the console. Charging will take around 3.5 hours. The system also comes with a Joy-Con grip. This is a pretty simple piece of hardware that turns the Joy-Con controllers into a more familiar controller shape. There are 4 indicators on each side of the grip that allows you to see the LED status of each of the Joy-Con controllers. When turning it on for the first time to set it up, you'll find that it doesn't take nearly as long as the previous systems such as the Wii U or if you have the Xbox or PlayStation. I very much appreciated that. To prevent accidental button pressing, it'll often ask you to press the home button or the button 3 times to start interacting with the console. Here's a brief demo with a few games. The first game is called Snipper Clips. You can see that the kickstand works nicely to hold up the console. When using the remotes wirelessly with the console, I noticed they were very responsive and I didn't notice any lag. But this is a very basic game with basic movements, so it's probably not the best test. The second game I'm trying is called 1-2 Switch. Each person takes a remote and competes against each other. While playing this game, I noticed that the haptic feedback worked very well on these very small Joy-Con controllers. Connecting the console to the TV using the dock was very simple. It was as simple as just plugging in the power and plugging in the HDMI cable. You can see here me playing 1-2 Switch again, and it worked just like with the console except on the TV. I didn't notice any issues with the graphics or any other problems, so no complaints there. I'll provide a more in-depth review of 1-2 Switch at a later point, so please make sure to check that out in the description below for the link to that video. Other than that, I didn't have any other games to try out with the system at this point. So overall, this is some pretty cool hardware. It's brand new. How you can switch the pieces out, the interchangeability. There's different buttons on it. Each of them have a sensor in themselves for gyros, it looks like, or accelerometers for the tilt functions. But only time will tell with what games come out and how they use them, really where this stands compared to, say, the Nintendo Wii U if you like Nintendo. I will say if you like to take your games with you, this is unique because you can take it with you. You can also play multiplayer, so there is something there that the Nintendo Wii U doesn't have. So I think time will tell as they come out with the games, but overall, it's a little unknown right now. So this has been Paul, the friendly reviewer, for your review of the Nintendo Switch. Thank you for watching.